Hi everybody and welcome back to E3D Designs. Today we're going to install the heater connectors and the fan and thermistor connectors onto our revised harness. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is find our cable that was plugged into our sensor circuit board. This is the one that has one big connector on one end and the two small connectors on the other. Depending on whether your main board is blue or green, these connectors will be 6-pin if it's the green board, and they'll be 7-pin if it's the blue board. And on the 7-pin ones, it will skip the second pin, so it'll go black, an empty spot, then the blue. Just gonna go ahead and seat them in place. And we also want to find our two heater wire harnesses for the extruders. Hook them up because we're going to need to measure those out as well. Now we've already fed our ribbon cable in through the opening here. Going to go ahead and take our ribbon cable, give ourselves a little bit of slack, and I did tell us to measure a little bit long. Better to be long than short. Go ahead and cut it right here. And then we want to go ahead and trim these wires. Leave ourselves a little bit extra for stripping and splicing and everything else, and we can always wire tie this up neat afterwards. Go ahead and cut these back here. And the rest of this we can throw away. And then these two here, and you feed these back through since our wires, they make it to right here. So we can take these, bring them over here. Again, give yourself a couple inches extra. And then cut these off. Again, trash that. Alright, so now we've got our wires trimmed to length. Now we can go ahead and pull the harness back out and splice our connectors onto the end of our ribbon cable. Okay, so I've already ohmed out that circuit board that's on your extruder carriage, and on the harness that starts with the black and ends with the red, the thermistor is the black pin, the negative for your cooling fan is the blue, the positive for the fan is the green, the other side of your thermistor is the yellow, and then the orange and red are used for your filament sensors. On the connector that starts in black and ends in white, basically the same thing. The black is your thermistor, blue is your fan negative, green is your fan positive, yellow is your other side of your thermistor, and then the orange and white once again are part of your filament sensors. Now we only need one fan set up for our layer cooling fan. So we're going to go ahead and remove these wires that we don't need on here. So on this one we won't need the orange and the red. They're pretty easy to take out. Find a pick or your knife tip, and you basically want to just see, there's little plastic tabs. You're just going to pull them up and the wires will slide right out. Okay, so that takes care of our first plug. On the second one, the only ones we're going to need are going to be the black and the yellow, which is for our thermistor. All the other ones can come out. Alright, now we remove the wires we don't need. Next thing we need to do is go ahead and strip the ends on all these wires and peel apart our wiring harness. And through the magic of movies, all the wires have now been stripped and ready to go. I've also gone ahead and cut 6 small diameter pieces of heat shrink as well as 4 larger diameter pieces. I'm going to go ahead and slide them over our wires ahead of time before we start soldering these all together. Okay, so now we're ready to start pairing up all of our wires to the harness. Okay, so according to our cheat sheet, first one we want to do is going to be our 4-wire connector, and the black wire is going to connect to the orange on our ribbon cable. Okay, and then the blue wire is going to connect to the blue. Now it says we're going to connect our green wire to the purple. And our yellow wire is going to connect to the red. I'm going to go ahead and put the heat shrink up around all these and seal them up. Okay, now on our second connector, we have 2 wires to hook up. So we're going to go ahead and hook the black to the black. Oops, and I already see an error on my page. I got off a line. And our yellow is going to hook to the white. Right, and again, go ahead and pull the heat shrink up, cover our connections. Now I'm sure somebody out there is going, but Carl, what about the yellow and green wires? Those we're actually going to splice into our power supply directly, so we have a full-time 12 volt power supply to our E3D heatsink fan. So now all we have left to do is splice on our connectors for our heaters. Now I have a note here that white is right and red is left when you're looking at the printer. So, and I said, let's see, and right would be extruder number 1, left would be extruder 0. So I've got number 1 here that says it's the white ones. Polarity does not matter. We can just go ahead and solder these up. Go ahead and put your heat shrink up. Make sure you get it up over the blue coating that's on these wires. And then there's one side. And red is left, which is also 0. All right, and that completes what we can do off of the printer with this part of the harness. All right, so let's go ahead and reinstall our wiring harness. Feed everything back through the opening like we did before. Making sure to keep the connectors on the left side of the rail. Okay, now we just need to go ahead and feed all of our cables through the opening in the back of the chassis. The red one goes on the right. White one goes on the left. The one with only 2 connectors goes on the left. And the one with 4 goes on the right. Alright, so we're going to stop there for today. In our next episode, we're going to go ahead and wire up that 12-volt constant power supply for our E3D heatsink cooling fan. Remember, if you like what I'm doing here, subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell for notifications. There's a wish list and a PayPal me link at the bottom of the description if you want to help support the channel. And remember, if it ain't broke, upgrade it. We'll see you next time.